Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. So, this presentation has been billed as how to connect with the music. And it's already a little bit wishy-washy because what that means to each person, I think, is a little bit of a different thing. So let me first talk about what I mean already by connecting with the music. Another word we could say would be how to get into the flow. So I think we've all had this experience where in music or other pursuits where we kind of lose our sense of time a little bit. It becomes very enjoyable, it becomes natural, almost an automatic process in a certain way. Raise your hand if you guys have some sense of what I'm talking about. Yeah, okay, everybody has the sense. It's a desirable place, it's a nice place to be. It's almost like the music plays itself, in a sense. It has to do with the conditions around us. It has to do with perhaps who we're playing with, the instrument we're playing on, our mood. And I want to say that the first thing we need to realize about how to connect with the music, how to get closer to the music, how to let it happen naturally, is this paradoxical situation, because if we crave this state, oh, I want to be more connected, I want to be more into it, it's completely counterproductive. So I guess the first thing I want to say is you can't want it too much. You have to surrender a little bit. You have to let yourself be like, however I am is okay. However I'm feeling the music right now is okay. Then, of course, we get into the situation where we're like, okay, I know that if I let go a little bit, I'm gonna be able to connect with the music. So now I'm gonna let go. And of course, then again, once again, we're craving again. So we can practice, we can create conditions where this can happen a little bit more naturally. My plan today is to present you with some of those conditions. And then hopefully at the end, maybe even have a little bit of participation, a little bit of playing together. But along those lines, the first thing I want to do is take a moment and practice, not just as musicians, but just as people, this idea of learning to be mindful of what is in the exact moment, and just accept where we are and what we're doing. So to that end, I would like to spend 3 minutes in silence with our eyes closed. And I want everybody to put both feet on the ground, because it's very important. The connection between our mind and our body is totally permeable. So we need to be open, and our bodies as well as our mind. And what you're going to do is you're going to put your feet down, and in a moment we're going to close our eyes, and I'm going to set even a timer. And we're going to do a kind of meditation for 3 minutes. What is the object of the meditation? The object is whatever you want it to be. It could be your respiration. It could be your sensation of your body, of yourself. It could be just noticing what's going on in your mind. There is no right and there's no wrong here. What I want us to practice doing is accepting what is. You might notice that your mind is completely crazy. That is what is. That's okay. You might notice that you're sleepy. That's okay. You might notice that you're a little bit nervous about this upcoming week. Or what's my combo going to be like? That's okay. Or you might just be like, this is very pleasant. It feels great to sit here. It's nice to be with myself completely. I mean, think about how often are we actually just spending time with ourselves completely. We always have some kind of distraction. We're always doing something. But this is truly just learning to be with ourselves. So we're going to do a 3-minute silent meditation, what's called a meditation of self-acceptance and observation. So, and it's best with the eyes closed. All right, here we go. Set a timer. the idea there is to learn a little bit about ourselves in some way. Did anyone learn anything about themselves? Yeah, Evan?
Kind of wanted to stay in that zone.
You wanted to stay in the zone?
Yeah,
And were you able to stay in the zone?
for the most part.
Okay, that's good. I'm not able to stay in the zone myself, but that's what it is. It's surrendering to what is. We cannot control everything. We can't force ourselves to be connected to music any more than we can force our heart to stop beating. It's a very natural process. So it's about kind of learning to accept what is. So anytime you guys are frustrated, you're playing and it's like, I can't get it. You feel your mind scrambling a little bit. Put your horn down and take 30 seconds. Just sit there, just be patient. Just wait a minute. Let everything go. Surrender a little bit. Okay, so that was a little bit of a meditation you guys can use, do anytime. Now, I think the next thing I want to talk about before I get to the specific techniques is it's helpful to have a sense of our goals as musicians. What are we trying to do? And all of us, every one of us has an ego. We all have an image of ourselves. And we spend a lot of energy trying to prove or trying to reinforce and trying to show the world what this image of ourselves is. But let's face it, none of us are perfect. None of us are Oscar Peterson or Charlie Parker or John Coltrane, and even those guys also, they didn't think of themselves, I don't believe, as perfect beings or perfect musicians or anything. So I want to borrow something that I got from a recent jazz piano student right there in the green shirt, Jeff. We were talking, he's a lifelong pianist and teacher, and he was talking to his students a little bit about performance anxiety, and he said something to me that really made me think. It really rang true. And if you go up there to play, and you're like, I have to prove to my teacher, I have to prove to the audience, I have to prove to my bandmates what a great musician I am, and I have to prove to that guy, or that woman, or whatever, how great I am, and I want to show that I'm a little bit better than them, and that person's intimidating to me, and I'm scared of that person, and all that, you're in trouble. You're going to get into that state of a heightened anxiety, like you're being chased by a lion or something. You're going to get all nervous, and you're going to start shaking, and your palms are going to get sweaty and all that, and you're certainly not going to be able to get in any kind of flow. Try to adopt a more positive, not everybody, you can't force this, but again, it's a mindset. The mindset that Jeff was talking to me about, which I love, is we're there not to prove ourselves, not to be great, not to be perfect, but we're there to share a part of ourselves with the audience and with the bandmates, with the people we're playing with, and with ourselves. We play music to reach into, to express an emotional part of ourselves that we can't do with words, and maybe perhaps other arts don't touch in the same way. Music's a really special thing in this way. It allows us to really get way deep inside. I want to share who I am, and not just the good parts of who I am as a musician. I want to share my being. I want to be honest with who I am, and I want to share that with the audience. I want to share that with you guys. My vulnerabilities, my imperfections, because we all have, that's what feels great. That's what feels good to the audience. That's when they connect, is when they see, I don't think Miles Davis cared if he cracked a note, because he had that vulnerable quality, that sense of always just letting it out, letting it go. So adopting this attitude when you guys go to your combos today, oh gosh, I hope that person thinks, I hope I'm not holding it back, and oh, I have to prove to this person I know this song, and I want to play Giant Steps in 13 because I have to show these people. How about we are going to have an experience together. We're going to, as a group, we're going to share ourselves as our whole beings, and hopefully that will help you guys a little bit just to feel good, just to get out there and not be too stressed. Does anyone find this comforting at all, this attitude? Yeah.
Yes.
Good, well, thank Jeff, because he's the one who, yeah, sure, but it really rang true. It's just a lovely idea. I had it last night when I was playing. These, after playing piano, for, 35 or 36 years, I still am up there on stage. Oh, I hope the audience likes it. I hope my bandmates like me. Just basic. It's just bullshit. Just this persistent habit, whatever. It's not going to go away. It's going to be with me when I die, but I can go up and say, I want to share myself with the audience. I want to share myself with the band, and I want to be honest. And I find it to be very a nice change in mindset. Did you ever?
The best advice I ever got about having nerves, doing a solo was from Tom Walsh, my first rehearsal. He basically said, I don't know why people get nervous playing solo, you're gonna play another one. And my feeling was, it's like, well, yeah, if I'm not gonna play again, it means something really bad's going on in my life, so I might as well just enjoy it.
Yeah, just enjoy it. We only live once. Yeah. So yeah, we don't have to be perfect. Nobody has to be perfect. We're here just to learn about ourselves, okay? So, with that said, I want to give you guys 3 specific techniques, and then if whatever time we have remaining, if we have any, we're going to have a little bit of participation. So the first one, we're gonna hit 3 major different sense doors of ourselves here. The first one we're going to start with is listening, is with our auditory sense. Now, we hear in jazz education, everybody says this, listen, listen. You have to listen to the masters. You have to listen if you want to, you have to learn the language. It's an oral language. Originally, that's how jazz certainly was taught. It wasn't, there weren't books. You went, you listened. Sonny Rollins, I'm just reading his biography right now, which is amazing. And it's just talking about how he would go and just listen to these guys in Harlem, just playing all the masters. He just couldn't stop listening. Listening's super important. Then we also hear, sometimes from our combo instructors, you have to listen to your band. Rhythm section, you need to listen to the horn player. Horn players, you need to listen to the rhythm section. Pianists, you need to listen to the drums. Usually if it's a drummer giving the clinic, they say everybody has to listen to the drums. If it's a bass player, everyone needs to listen to the bass,
Facts.
What's that?
Facts.
Yes.
You need to listen to the bass player.
You need to listen to the bass player. See, that is. This is super important, and I think it's a fantastic way to get connected to the music. I love it. You're sitting there and you're playing, you're uninspired, or your mind is scrambling. You're in that state where it's like, oh, it's kind of a little bit of anxiety. What do? Find whoever you want to listen to in the band, who's inspiring you, and just listen. But this is the one I want to talk about. This is, you could think of it as being a little bit selfish in this way. And we very rarely hear this. You need to listen to yourself. Mm-hmm. You need to listen to the sound that you are creating, first and foremost. How do you listen? Are you listening for if it's right or wrong or good or bad? Usually we are. Forget it. You need to listen. You want to cultivate a sense of just listening to the sound. Listen to the sound. Oh, what a drag, I can't play well, the piano's out of tune, or I don't like the instrument, or oh, this reed sucks, or whatever it is. There are all these recordings of the wonderful pianist Errol Garner, and a lot of those pianos are awful, and he was just having a blast. He was clearly connected to the music when he was playing. He was connected with the spirit of the music. So I want to do a little bit of an exercise here. You can do this with any instrument that rings, okay? You can do it with any instrument, actually. But it's nice to have something that kind of rings and fades. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a single note on the piano, and I'm going to hold it. And we are all going to listen to the entire duration of the note. We're going to let it ring all the way to the end. And speaking of giving credit to people, it was when I was about 16 at a Jamie Aebersold camp that Hal Galper, the wonderful pianist, did this exercise in our combo, and I've used it many times since for myself and for my students. So check it out. Listen all the way. Listen to the sound of the note as it is, without judgment, the pure sound. It was still going when I stopped, but I thought maybe most of you probably couldn't hear it at that point. We heard the note. The piano is a little bit out of tune. There's a little slight twang to it.
Yeah.
But we're just listening. There's a beauty in that. There's a beauty in the rawness of it. Whatever it is. We heard a couple phones go off. We heard a chuckle. Yeah, we're listening to the piano, but all the sounds are valid. A truck drives by. Oh man, that truck is ruining my experience. No, the truck is part of the experience. Just whatever it is, we listen. Let's do it one more time. So to do this, we really have to turn our ears up. We have to listen on a much more subtle level. You can listen on this level anytime you want. You just have to make a decision. I'm going to listen more. I'm going to judge less. Let's try it with another sound. We're going to listen to the sound of the cymbal all the way, okay? When we hear it like that, it's almost otherworldly. I didn't know a cymbal had those overtones. The cymbal has a pitch. The rivet in the cymbal has, there's so much complexity there that we almost never hear. All we really are, the most we ever seem to hear is, if we're not drummers, is just that tip hitting the cymbal, important. But the whole sound, let's do it one more time. And once it finishes ringing, we're going to keep listening. We're going to keep listening with that intensity, that level of detail. And I'm going to move back to the piano and play a little bit. And I want you to keep listening in that same way. The music sound a little bit different after listening so intensely? Yeah, so that's another great exercise with the listening. So are there any questions about the listening? Yes?
What I noticed, and I don't know whether people down further could tell, but I never noticed the way, like, the piano moved when it was a little louder, and then it sort of stabilized, I guess, for lack of a better term. And then the cymbal did the same thing. It kind of moved, and then it.
Yeah.
I never noticed that. I don't know if it's because I'm all the way back here. I don't know if it was
You heard like the sound actually moving around?
moving. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you're listening in great detail like that, you can hear you can just, you'll notice things that you didn't used to notice before. And that judgmental part of the brain that's always analyzing and trying to figure out the right way to do things, that gets a little bit more quiet, and that sets the condition for connecting with the music. That sets the condition for getting into the flow a little bit more. So, one quick story before I move on to the next technique. I played a regular gig with a wonderful bass player named Don Gladstone in North Carolina, where I used to live. We played a lot there at the steakhouse called Sullivan's. And sports are really big in North Carolina, huge. And there was some game, some big game, I don't remember the game because sports are not that important to me. But the place was packed. It was like there were TVs on. And it was just me and a bass player, just a duo, acoustic piano player and acoustic piano. And we're playing, and I mean, there were people, I mean, I could barely stand up. There were people all around me, all around the bass player. And we were just playing so hard, and there was this roar of the people in the audience, and not the audience, excuse me, in the steakhouse, getting drunk, yelling, screaming, blah, blah, blah. And I said to Don, the bass player, who was quite a bit older and more experienced than I was, I said, God, I'm playing so hard and I can't hear anything. So I'm really frustrated. And he said to me, play quieter, listen harder. And something just snapped in my brain. Suddenly the music was just completely, I heard the music so deeply, I was so connected, and I was so relaxed, I wasn't trying anymore. So we can change the way we hear. We can change our focus of listening. We have a lot more control than we think. So, and by listening harder, we can quiet the anxiety, we can quiet the intellectualization, and allow the conditions to be more present for us to actually let our ears do the work they need to do in order to let ourselves be in the music, okay? So is there any questions about the listening? You can take this any way you want. You can do anything you want. You can say, you know, while we're playing, I'm going to listen to the back corner of the room, whatever. Just, you know, keep your ears open. Yeah.
I've had a lot of conversations with horn players recently about long tones.
Uh-huh.
That I think falls into kind of what you're talking about. If you just, you know, not only does it help you build your tone and strength, but you just really zero in on the actual tone that you're creating just by hearing that one note playing out. I think falls into what you're saying and is very helpful.
Yes, great. Yeah. I would take it just one step further. Not only zeroing in on the tone, but saying what is the tone I'm making, like rather than saying, I want the tone to be a certain way. That's great to have goals. But in order to get to that goal of getting the tone the way you want it to be, you need to hear what it is in that moment and stop pushing that away.
Yeah, and I think, which is a very good point, and I think, yeah, so you do it for tone building, but also you just really hear the note itself, right? It's kind of got its own little personality, and I don't know what other words to use like with it, but
It's character, yeah.
yeah, like the character of each note, it has like a certain feeling, right?
Yeah, because if you're hearing for what you want it to be, if you're always listening for that, then you don't hear what it is. It's that simple. You need to hear what it is to begin with. That's the point of all this. Hear what you are doing rather than trying to have some, and who knows, because your idealistic vision of what it is, you might be shutting off a part of you that's really valuable. You know, you might be like, I love Paul Desmond, but I have such a, you know, that might not be the sound that your body makes. You need to be open to what you are and who you are. So yes, yeah, good point. All right, so the next thing I want to teach you guys here, or teach isn't the right word, share with you, is so we've talked about the ears, we've talked about listening. The next one I want to talk about is feeling, is the sensations, physical sensations. So first of all, let's see. So first of all, another thing I was doing last night when I was playing. It's one of my very favorites. Instead of sitting and being all caught up in, you know, the chord scales and all these notes, trying to play the right thing and everything. Sometimes we can just take it to our body. We can just figure out how to ground ourselves. And you can do this with any sensation you want, but my very favorite is the feet, the sensation of the feet on the ground. I just feel it's really grounding. I'm able to have clear enough mind that I can play the piano or make music while I'm doing this. So, we're all going to do this for a minute. So put, again, both feet on the ground. And let's just take a minute, and you're going to notice the sensation of your feet on the ground. Your mind will wander away. It's the nature of the mind. It will go back to whatever's going on. So you say, if your mind wanders away, that's fine, no problem. Go back to the sensation of your feet on the ground. Whatever it is, your feet might hurt. They might feel good. You might not feel them at all. It makes no difference. You bring your attention back to that sensation, that awareness. Now, there are a lot of different levels of musicians here. Huge. Some people have played professionally. Other people are just getting started with jazz. So, while you're thinking about the sensation of your feet on the ground, you might not be able to think about the chords to a blues or to Autumn Leaves or Blue Bossa. So what you're going to do on your instruments when you're alone in a practice room, you pick up your instrument and you just make some noise on it, but keep your attention on the sensation of the feet on the ground. So my feet are on the ground, and no matter what I play, my feet are on the ground. I feel my feet on the ground. You guys feel the sensation of your feet on the ground as I play a little bit. So maybe some free jazz, maybe some free improvisation like that. Or maybe you can just play some scales. There's nothing wrong with that either. Feet on the ground. Anything you can do automated, easily. Maybe it is soloing over Jamie Aebersold play along, backing track or something. Anything you can do, try it, noticing the sensations in your body. Get out of your heads. That will help you to get out of your head. Get out of bed too. Any sensation is okay. Another wonderful thing to think about when you're playing is the sensation of your body touching the instrument. So in the case of me, it's my fingers. In the case of a saxophone player, it could be the embouchure, where the mouth, or it could be the fingers. Drummer, you might be feeling your hands on the sticks. Bass player, it could be right there. You could just be feeling that, or you could be feeling this up here, and you go back to that. Just then when I was playing my little free thing, my mind is like, do these people think I'm crazy? And then I'm like, who cares? Feet on the ground. The mind, bring it back. You bring it back. I mean, what do I have to lose? Mike, you're still going to pay me after this, right?
Sure.
So, let's try, and again, hopefully we'll have a little bit of time for a few of you to come up and play a little bit after this. But I I'm gonna feel my finger on the piano. Here you go. How about this? It's almost like your hands can, a lot of us like to dance. Some people are scared of dancing, that's fine. But it's almost like your hands are dancing, your body's dancing when you play. Think of it as a dance sometimes. Try to get out of the mentality of the music, the scales, blah, 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 and just dance with your body a little bit. In fact, I wasn't planning on talking about dancing, but man, to get the music in your body, dance a little bit. You might be like, oh, one of those people who's very self-conscious to dance. That's fine. Turn off the light. Go by yourself somewhere. Turn the stereo on. Perhaps a shot of tequila, whatever, and sit there and dance. Put on Charlie Parker. The whole point of bebop was that it wasn't danceable. Who cares? Put on Charlie Parker and move your body in any silly, ridiculous way you want. Let your body move to the music a little bit. We have to. That's great to get the music into the body. So, any questions about this physical sensations? Okay. Are you guys planning on maybe trying these things a little bit later?
Yeah.
Okay. I hope what I'm sharing is helpful or useful. Yes, sir.
Okay. Why am my body dancing crazy? Why am I dancing crazy?
Why?
Yeah, I mean, what am I supposed to be doing?
Are you a dancer?
It sounds funny, but anyway, I'm trying to catch up.
Let me put it this way. This exercise, the dancing thing, that was sort of an afterthought, but
Oh,
the dancing thing is for, if you're someone who's pretty loose and you're not, and you dance anyway, it's probably not as relevant. But some people are really afraid to move their bodies. They're really stiff. And for people like that, if you're really stiff in your body, if you know, I'm not a dancer. So I have spent some time just trying to move to the music, because when we play music, it's not just the mind playing music, and it's not even just the parts of our body that are music. The music is flowing through the whole body. So if your body is really stiff and stuck, then it kills the flow. Now that doesn't mean that, you're moving like crazy when you're playing, although we know that there are some musicians who do that for sure. A lot of musicians, Kenny Garrett's got this thing going, and certain drummers have certain, Roy Haynes, I love to watch Roy Haynes play when he played the drums. Just, he has this like, whole body's just bouncing. Wynton Marsalis has this little thing he does. So the way our bodies are reacting, our bodies need to be connected to the music. Now, if you are somebody who's just very easily, you go home and you can dance, you can go to a club and very free, maybe it's not as relevant. But there are a lot of people who are stiff and have trouble moving, and it's great just to let our bodies flow to the music a little bit, help us connect. That's all. Okay.
Watch Fred Astaire.
Oh,
some,
man.
Some of those clips.
Fred Astaire.
Yeah, he's a great
Fred Astaire, man. Wow, did he connect?
drummer with his body.
A great drummer with his body, and
Yeah.
connected to that, he was such a great singer. All the composers at the time wanted Fred Astaire to sing their music because he phrased it. Not only did he sing the lyrics beautifully, he put the story across, but he also phrased it with such a beautiful, feeling.
Yeah.
Ella Fitzgerald, watching her, Frank Sinatra, all those, man, you can see it in their bodies. And you can see when someone's really stiff and really stuck in their body as well, All right, so physical sensations. We got our physical sensations. We have our ears, we have our listening, we have our physical sensations. Now I'm going to do one that's perhaps a little bit more esoteric, but a nice way. All these are designed to kind of short circuit that habitual anxiety, that habitual overthinking that gets in the way of us feeling and connecting with music. By the way, the reason I've accumulated all these things throughout my career is because it's hard. I've always found it kind of, I've always wanted to be in that state more. So this is why I've kind of figured out all these things, The last one we're going to do is called three-point attention. It's a visual technique. This is a technique you cannot do while you're reading music because you need your eyes to do something else. So what you're going to do is you're going to find an object fairly far away from you. A single object. It doesn't have to be super clearly in focus if you're not wearing your glasses or whatever. I'll even set something up. With B-flat instruments, it happens to be a B-flat, folks. But I like the color green here. So I want you to put your attention, your visual attention, on that green book. Now, while you are looking at that green book, out of the corner of your eye, in your peripheral vision, you're going to be aware of something closer to you. It could be the back of someone's head in front of you. But something a little bit off to one side or the other, makes no difference. You're still looking at the green book, but your attention is off to the side somewhere. You're just aware of something else. I'm looking at Evan right in front of me in his blue shirt, but I'm aware of this gentleman right here. Now, while you're doing this, you're going to find one object on the other side, even closer to you, and you want to bring that to your peripheral vision. So I have Evan, and I have this person. So I'm looking at Evan, I have this person here, and I have this person here, both in my field of vision. Now, that's called three-point attention. Your brain is working so hard right now to maintain this visual imagery, this visual thing, that there's no possible way that you're going to get hung up trying to apply a lick from the bebop scale. So keep looking at that, keep the other two objects in your line of sight. I'm going to do some three-point attention myself and play a little bit of free jazz here. So I'm looking at part of the curtain there, and something else here, and I'm aware, and I can see my hands on the keyboard. So those are my 3 points. So I certainly, while doing that visual exercise, certainly experienced the music in a different way. I experienced the playing, and it allowed me to get over whatever self-consciousness there is and just go for it. So in review here, the first thing we did was a little bit of meditation. We did, you could almost say that that's another sense door. You could say that observing your mind is a way, we're trying to be mindful here. We're trying to turn off the judgment and just accept the present moment. That is what creates the condition to let ourselves go, to let ourselves sink deeper, access that part of ourselves. That the music flows through. So we observed the mind a little bit. Then we listened to ourselves. We listened to the sound we're making as you're playing. You're playing your trumpet. And what's important is you're not listening for what you want it to be. You're listening for what it is. You listen to the sound you are making. And you can do this with anything. You can do it with your scales. You can do it while listening to your heroes as well. You can listen to Miles Davis in the same way. I'm not listening for what I think it should be. I'm listening to what is. I'm not trying to put myself in any different state than I am. That's the ironic thing about this. By not trying to put yourself in a different state, it creates the conditions where you actually might fall into that state. It's a natural process. So listening to yourself, not to say that you shouldn't listen to the masters and you shouldn't listen to your bandmates as well, okay? I'm not saying that. But also, please include yourself. Be kind to yourself as well, as a listener. Then we did physical sensations. One of my personal favorites. I do it all the time when I'm feeling disconnected to the gig that I'm on or my practice, whatever. I say, okay, what do my feet feel like? What do my hands feel? I'm going to let my hands dance. The physical sensations. And finally, we did this 3-point attention thing, which again is a bit more, I don't know. I was running this presentation by my wife yesterday or a few days ago, and she said, I don't know about the visual thing. That's pretty esoteric, but I think it's cool. I think it can get you into a different state of mind, different frame of mind. So we did the visual thing. These are all ways of short-circuiting that hyper sense, hyper thought, thinking pattern, which gets us into a sense of panic and doesn't allow us to kind of let go a little bit. So, does anyone have any comments or questions about any of what I've talked about today? Yes.
What do you think about closing your eyes when you play? Because I do that all the time.
Yeah, so, people do different things. Everything's different for everybody. I close my eyes when I play. I think we close our eyes because we're trying to eliminate as much external, unrelated stuff to what we're doing as possible. And it's just a way of shutting off at least one of those sense doors so we don't have to deal with it. Obviously, if you're reading music, you can't close your eyes. And it's okay to have your eyes open. In fact, if you're playing with a band, there might be times, I tend to open my eyes at those cadential moments where a decision might be made. I open, or when something's going wrong, I see my colleague Chris Fitzgerald back there. Chris and we've played together so much, but it's like I sit there, my eyes are closed, Chris closes his eyes, and within 1 second of something getting a little wonky, Chris and I both look at each other instantly. Every time we both look up like, what's going on? And I'm like, Chris, tell me where beat 1 is, please. And then, so, yeah, but closing your eyes is awesome. I highly, if you've never tried it, try it. In fact, if you're playing an instrument like the piano or perhaps the bass or the guitar, you're very, there's Will right there. Oh boy, have I gotten on Will about sitting there. So you gotta, it's good to be able to kind of get away and feel where stuff is. It doesn't mean you have to play with your eyes closed all the time, but yeah, it's a great thing to try, for sure.
At least you don't have to worry about reading music.
Nice. Yeah, guitar players can always play with their eyes closed because they can't read the music anymore. That wasn't my joke. That wasn't my joke.
I noticed that, playing a 3-hour gig, say set 2 and 3, it's more likely that everybody gets into that zone more likely than set 1.
Yeah, I think that, I also think the second set, sometimes it's a little, everybody feels each other out, you hear what the room sounds like, and you're a little bit more relaxed, for sure, yeah. So yeah, just playing a lot sometimes, but it has there is a diminishing returns there as well, at least for people who play lots and lots of gigs. Once you get, if it's a 3-set gig, that's when, that third set is like, you know, you gotta try to dig deep if you wanna stay in it, but there is a bit of a sweet spot there for sure, yeah. And sometimes, from the first tune, from the first note, you're playing with some friends or people, you're just comfortable and everything sounds great, you're just like, boom, you're just in it as well, so. It's about creating the conditions for it to happen, the best you can, and not forcing it when it doesn't. It's okay. It's okay if you spend the whole week and you don't have a flow experience with your music this week. That's okay. You have to be okay with it. You can't fight that. But, yeah, other comments?
I think it's important to accept the people that are around you for who they are too. Very important, because you can't be yourself if you can't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so easy to get into a blaming thing. It's not swinging because the bass player's dragging, or the drummer's doing this, or that sax player's playing the wrong notes. We are all trying our hardest. We're all doing the best we can. And if you sit there and you're like, you get into that mentality, it's this person's fault, or how can we possibly, you know, it's really what you're talking about. He's talking about accepting the people around you can be very difficult, but you will be happier and also in a better place to have a conversation with the person and help them, or you know, work out whatever the issue is as well. If you can just accept that person's doing the best they can. They're, you know, and it's hard for us to remember. It's easy to get like, oh gosh, I wish that person would just do this or that. I mean, I guess we could apply this to anything in our lives, not just playing in music. That's what's so great about playing in a group, is because we can work out stuff that applies to everything in life. Yeah, good point. Yeah. Someone back there had their hand raised.
You know, it's kind of like arriving at the same destination, the individual way that you get there. What you have described, I understand. It's not my experience, though. But I have been there, so to speak. And I would describe it as putting yourself in the center of the sound.
Mm.
And I've been able to achieve that. But honestly, it's been through the use of a couple gummies.
I plead the fifth.
You mean scotch?
Yeah. Hey, whatever. So thank you so much for especially the first part of what you, well, all of that. I love all of that. The center of the sound, I mean, being closer to the sound, that's fantastic. But the first thing, especially that you said, this has not been my experience exactly. I love that because it's really important that we all know that we all have our own individual experiences. Everything I just said is my experience. I'm just sharing with you to the best of, you know, what has worked for me, what being connected to the music means for me. It might be, there's no might about it. It is different for everybody. And we all have our own way. I think there's a universal quality of pointing in a certain direction. We're all trying to get to a similar thing, but, you know, Gabe said if I look at these 3 different things, I'm going to be into the music. No, it's not like that. Although the gummy thing.
Not for the drums.
Great.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
But inevitably, I'll start walking around and I'm like, oh, I put that back in the refrigerator. And, you know, and I can't move around
let's-
physically and keep.
well, I can't go for a walk either and let the piano's really. But, yeah, I mean, you know, I guess I move a little bit, but let's, this is a nice way to wrap this up actually, because kids, little kids, if you ever see them learning an instrument, violin or whatever, they're just all over the place. I mean, the teacher's like, stay still. And this is related to the body thing, the movement. Our bodies move as they process this information, the music, our bodies move. And then the kid, the 5-year-old learning the violin, puts the violin down, and then they get on the floor and they roll around. And we have a wonderful teacher for our daughter who's like, we're like, honey, get up. You know, you can't roll around on the, and he's like, no. She is processing right now. She is learning the music that we're talking about by moving, jumping on the sofa for a minute or whatever. I think we all we lose that in a sense, but we shouldn't completely lose it. I think if you're learning something, you play sax, right? Yeah. Like, okay, why not? Or whatever, you know? It's okay to move around a little bit. You can't do that in the concert, you can't do this, but you can practice that way. I think the movement's great. And I want to bring it back again to the kid thing, the child thing, in wrapping this up here. I love to think about this, and hopefully you guys, if you take nothing else from this, think about this. We're here to play music. We're not here to work. We're here to work, yes, but we're not here to work hard. We're not here to force ourselves. We're not here to be tense. We're not here to drive ourselves hard. We are here to be playful. We are playing. We are adults playing, like a child plays with a ball. We are playing with our instruments. We're playing music. Let's not forget the word play in all of this throughout the week. Let's be playful. A child isn't thinking, boy, I sure hope that other child sees how well I'm bouncing this ball. But we get into this, wow, I sure hope I'm going to show how great I am at this. Let's adopt an attitude of playfulness and experimentation and fun throughout this week and hopefully beyond the best we can, and not be hard on ourselves when we lose sight of that either. Okay? So I sincerely hope that some of what I've said has been helpful or inspiring and gives you some ideas and some inspiration.
Okay, can I add something?
Oh, please, yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking about what he was talking about, and no one is more white, more old, more square than I am. And when I go to Brazil, and a lot of people who know me know I love to go there, one of the things that becomes really apparent almost immediately when I start to play with my friends there, and this is certainly not universal, there are exceptions, but the ones I get to play with, they love playing. They're moving all the time. In fact, they tell me, if you can't move in time like, you know, this, where the beat is, then you can't play. You're right. And we're all subject to what Gabe just talked about this competitiveness in our head. You may say you're not. I say I'm not. We are. You can't, we're human. You know? I can tell you when I'm down there, I don't see it. I see these people when they're done with the solo, they'll hug each other. What the hell is that? You know, we have a hard time. When I got home from this last trip, I was there 3 weeks. People were so open and friendly. I get back here, it's hard to get people to even say hello on the street. Here, they welcome each other by a hug, and when you get done with the solo, they'll tell you. So what he's saying is, we have to, if we can apply that, sooner or later it will affect other people we're around. It does rub off eventually, but it took me a long time to be comfortable being in that situation. You know, just letting go, and if you screw up, so what? There's a cachaça waiting for you at the end of the night. You know, and everybody, it's not perfect. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm just saying it's very noticeable for me when I go, because the society is so different than ours.
Yeah.
And it's a societal thing, not a human thing.
When I was here in 2019, I had an instructor tell me, not to move while I was playing, and I should have stayed still. I'm so glad to hear this.
Well, there's exceptions, there's people who like are, you know, pretty crazy, you know, they're, whatever, you need to be who you are. Sometimes we start playing, as soon as we put that instrument in our hands, we become a different person than who we really are. So, thank you, Gabe.
Yeah, thanks, guys.